Hi everybody, my name is Candace and I upload videos to YouTube sometimes. And I'm so happy because my little reading bug has bit earlier this year than it usually does. I actually started having really strong urges to read in August, probably because we were moving. And I think every time that I do a video now, or at least every 5 videos, I have moved. But that's just the way it is. And so I set up my new office and I got to reorganize my bookshelves and look at some new books. I'm really craving fall, obviously. We are in autumn over here. So it was just time. And I've already read a couple, but I wanted to come on and do a book review for the September House, which is a new release that came out not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. So at the beginning of September. Makes sense. Good job marketing. And this is by Carissa Orlando. Now, the thing that I want to start out with on this review, something that I don't normally do, but I've started doing more often, is actually reading the author bit first. Because I try to go in, or at least I used to, try to go in without much knowledge about the author. I just want to dive into the story and not really have that perspective, I don't know, figured out yet. But I'm so glad that I read about the author. So in her little bio in the back, it actually says that she has her doctorate in clinical community psychology and specializes in work with children and adolescents. Now, did this make the book a little bit more predictable from my perspective? Yes, for sure. But it made it that much more enjoyable because I really understood where her specialty is and I was able to catch on to the themes really quickly. And I think that that made it more enjoyable. So as far as overall rating, I literally just finished this last night. I haven't quite figured out if I'm getting it a 3.5 or a 4. And I think I need to sit on that for a little bit more, but maybe I will have it figured out by the time that I'm done with this. So brief, tiny synopsis. I don't like giving spoilers because I want everyone to be able to get a review without having the story spoiled for them. So I won't tell you anything past around page 50. So we have this haunted house, which basically every September it gets extra haunted. The walls bleed and the usually more friendly, benevolent spirits become a bit more angsty and rebellious. For the most part, the ghosts in here, the majority of them are not super dangerous. You can live with it. There's one particular ghost that is the danger, that is what is driving a lot of the plot forward, is this one ghost. And so this couple who are empty nesters, their daughter went off to college, they never owned a house before. Even as children, they never lived in a house that their family owned or had that homey vibe, if I'm remembering correctly. And so they find this house, and of course it seems like a dream come true. It was built in the 1800s. It's gorgeous. It has a turret, which they mention a few times. That is a huge deal to the author. And then this beautiful wraparound porch, which I understand because I love wraparound porches too. So, but of course, once they move in, after ignoring all the red flags that the real estate agent was throwing at them, that's when things start really going bad. But there's more of a family drama that is unfolding in this. And we see that just kind of reveal itself as the book goes along. And I think that the way that it was revealed throughout, very thoughtful. Every time we got a little bit more information, I didn't feel like it was being too repetitive on that end. And it felt very natural. Like, this is the way that you would find out about things if things were going wrong. And also just kind of goes along with the whole theme of, like, you know, sometimes you just get used to the haunting. So our main character, I'll talk about her. I love her. The narrator, so unreliable. And just in, like, the best of ways. That's not a trope that I typically like move toward, that I'm like, yes, I love an unreliable narrator. But this one, she was so nonchalant and also kind of like sarcastic about everything. It's like, well, this is my dream home. I'm never going to leave. And I'm just going to make friends with these ghosts, and as she calls the children, pranksters. So it was actually quite humorous at first, but then I started getting concerned, and so what happens in the book, the inciting incident, I guess, is that her husband leaves. Like, he's like, I can't deal with this anymore, I'm out. But then he stops talking with their only daughter, and the daughter comes up because she's now concerned. Mom's not concerned at all, because why? She has her dream house, which again sounds really cold, but when you read it, it makes sense. And so I don't know where I was going with that. I'm also like 8 months pregnant, so if I'm breathing really heavily and losing my train of thought, that's why, but I'm going to try and keep this pretty linear. So anyway, the daughter comes up because now husband, dad is missing, and daughter's concerned, mom is not. And we don't really know why at first. It seems kind of suspicious, a little suspicious, but again, you're kind of going back and forth of like, okay, well, I get it. And it's just kind of like her personality to be like this. I don't know. It was so much fun. I was literally going back and forth in my head the whole time, like texting my husband, like, I'm pretty sure this is what happened. This is what happened. And texting my husband because normally he's at work when I'm reading. So I'll like give him little updates when I'm taking breaks. But the book moved real nicely. I got it done within like a few little reading sessions. And so it didn't take that long. The last couple of chapters are extra long, but they're super high paced. Now, I will say the daughter's character, I did not vibe with. I personally didn't like her. I didn't feel as though the author gave her enough likable qualities for me. And this is someone who, I think we're about the same age in the book, and I definitely identified with the mom more, which may be because I'm pregnant, I don't know. But it was interesting. Like, I didn't really like the daughter's character so much, but it didn't really take away from the book at all. Now, why would I give this a 3.5 instead of a 4? Or why would I give it a 4 instead of a 5 even? So one, I didn't like the daughter character. 2, there were some parts of it that I felt were a wee bit repetitive. Funnily enough, the author likes to use repetition a lot, dripping and dripping, pointing and pointing and pointing. And so it was a little bit overused in my opinion. At first, I was like, yes, you're building it up. I get that. But then I would notice it happening like many times on the same page. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, let's just move through the scene. And so I wasn't terribly feeling that. And the ending was not my favorite. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't my favorite. I believe that this is also a debut novel by the author, I would easily pick up anything else that she has. I mean, it's a haunted house story mixed with psychological thriller, in my opinion. And it's just, it's so crisp. I think that it was the perfect September read. I really did enjoy it, and I really do recommend it. I'm going to try and get all my thoughts out on the book, but I do want to give some content warnings at the end of this video in case that is something that you are interested in. And if that's something that you might be concerned with, because while the book itself, it's very funny. Like it doesn't take itself seriously at all. And you kind of just get like just as accustomed to these spirits as the woman does. So you're like, I get it. I could probably live in a haunted house too. You can survive anything. I think that that's even, is that the quote? Yeah, that's the quote on the front of the book. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. Should have maybe put my thoughts together more before I started recording this video. But I went grocery shopping this morning and it made me tired. Anyway, there were some parts that got like pretty scary towards the end because again, it starts at the beginning of September, and as September moves along is like when things really start heating up. But you're always questioning, like, is this real or is this in her head? So that's fun. And I think that's it. Yeah, it was a really good, enjoyable read. Oh, that was the other thing. Okay, so this was what really brought it down from a 5 to a 4, in my opinion. So there's a lot of time jumping because by the time, so the prologue opens up and they're touring the house for the first time, the husband and the wife with the real estate agent, and then they buy it. And so the first chapter is basically, we're already there 4 years later, and the narrator, the main character, the wife, she's there all alone. Her husband has been gone for about a month, and so she's introducing us to the house. So in order to be introduced to really their experience in the house itself, their time of figuring out what all is happening, it's all really done in flashbacks. And a lot of these flashbacks are done in kind of in every other chapter sort of thing. But then there's also some that are intermingled within the chapters. So like another character will say something to our narrator and kind of like tip off her memory, and she'll start telling us, oh my God, there's something in my eye. She'll start telling us about, oh yeah, this one child ghost, I found out about him when at this library at this time. And so but it does take us out of the scene, and I didn't feel as though those little time jumps that were done within the present day chapters were as seamless. And it didn't take me long to get back. It's definitely not something to ruin the book, but it took me out of the story just a scotch. And so I feel like there should have been a bit more thoughtfulness on the way that we weaved those in, because I enjoyed those pieces, but I didn't enjoy how they were weaved into the present day. It was almost a little bit too jarring, a little bit too much back and forth. And then there was even one time where the narrator straight up breaks the fourth wall, and I was like, whoa, like, how do you know I'm here? Like, I get it in the perspective that it's told. It's like she's telling someone, but at the same time, like, I don't want you to be like, oh, well, you knew I was gonna do that. And it's like, ma'am, you don't know me. You're not real. And so that was a little bit jarring. So there were like some teeny tiny things. So now the more that I'm thinking about it, I really don't have that much to go against it. So yeah, I would still say a 4. I think I'm gonna put a 4 in my Goodreads review and other places that I review this, and that'll be that. So, okay, Please tell me if you have read this, if you're interested in reading it, if you have read this book and think that I would also like another book. Please let me know, because I really enjoyed it. It was scary, it was pretty intense, but like for the most part, it was also just like doing its thing and just kind of a chill time. It wasn't too intense. I don't know. Okay, so actually, before I get to the content warnings, before I read The September House, I actually read The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias, which I believe should be coming out in paperback soon, because that was actually a new release last year, but I can't remember when. And I have already donated it. It was another like solid 4.5 read, but I never want to read it again. It was such a good book, but it was so dark that I was like, I need something way lighter, way easier. Like I was like, this is it. I can't do this while I'm pregnant. Like I'm way too emotional. That was intense. I could still do a review on that one if you like. I'll just put like a little screenshot up while I'm talking about it instead of holding the book, since I no longer physically own it. But it was an amazing book. So I can do a review on that if you're interested, because I think that's another really good one to read in like the darker, spookier months for sure. So let me know. So content warnings for the September House. So we obviously have some spooky, scary vibes. Ooh, my foot went to sleep. And then also we do have some gore, some pretty well detailed gore. There is domestic violence, there is violence against children, and again, this author knew how to write atmospherically. Well, maybe not, I don't think atmospherically is the right word. She knew how to really make you see what was happening to these people that got murdered. So she can write some violence and some gruesomeness. So that's definitely in there. Yeah, domestic violence, violence against children. And I think that's pretty much it. There wasn't much more than that. Yeah, just like the violence part, at least from my perspective. Of course, if content warnings, trigger warnings, or something that is very important to you, maybe look out and see if someone else caught anything else. I'm not going to catch things that don't stand out to me. So, oh, alcoholism. Yeah, that's definitely in here as well. So, okay, that is it for September House. I should have said this before I started my content warnings, but literally after I'm done recording this, I'm going to start reading Mother-Daughter Murder Night by Nina Simon. I keep wanting to say Simone, but it's Nina Simon. This is actually the Reese's Book Club monthly pick for September, and it just so happened to come in after September House, so that's why I'm reading this one next and read that one first. But I'm super excited to start on this one. I plan on doing a review on it as well. It's basically about 3 generations of women in a family, a grandmother, mother, daughter, who decide to solve a local murder. That's what I know about it. Some of the blurbs said that it was funny, and I'm looking for that. So no novel has ever made family drama or murder this much fun. By Kitty Hayes, author of The Cloisters. So I mean, that's my thing. I love dark humor, so I feel like this paired with the September House should be like a good little duo of dark, humorous vibes, kind of thrillery. Anyway, so that's it. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know about any cozy fall books that you have been into. Anything new, anything backlist. I plan on reading some backlist stuff after I'm done with these 2. So that's it, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good day.